Good evening. Hello and welcome. You're with the news today. Your primetime destination news. Newsmakers talking points. Our big talking point tonight is coming from the state of Manipur that remains on the boil. The big question, is President's rule now the only option in Manipur? That's our big talking point tonight. Also, our newsmaker tonight is the Delhi Chief Minister Atishi, who speaks on the air emergency facing the national capital. Plenty more as always on the show tonight. But our top story that we are breaking at the moment is that gangster Anmol Bishnoi has been detained. That's right, the brother of Lawrence Bishnoi, the gangster who's been involved in recent attacks, has been held in California. Bishnoi is linked to Baba Siddiqui, the former Mumbai MLA's killing. Also threats to actor Salman Khan. Sources say the US may hand over Anmol Bishnoi to Canada. Canada wants to probe Anmol Bishnoi in the contentious Nijjar murder case that has led to a breakdown in India-Canada ties. That's the big story that's breaking at the moment. So that's the sources telling us that Anmol Bishnoi, the gangster, has been detained in Canada. We'll try and get our correspondent Devesh on the phone line to give us more details on that. Devesh Singh is our reporter who tracks the Mumbai police. He's been breaking that story. Mumbai police saying that the brother of Lawrence Bishnoi has been detained as we speak in California. And the significance of that is that if he is extradited to Canada, then it opens up another can of worms. Because remember, according to the Canadian government, the Bishnois were hired to kill Nijjar, the Khalistani terrorist, and the Canadian government has made it very clear that they will continue to prosecute that case. Now the detention of Anmol Bishnoi there in California, possible extradition to Devesh Singh, our correspondent in Mumbai, joins us at the moment for the very latest. Devesh, can you tell us what this means? What is the Mumbai police saying at the moment about the detention of Anmol Bishnoi? And what is his role in all of that has happened so far?
Well, Rajdeep, NIA, the National Investigation Agency, had declared a reward of 10 lakhs on Anmol Bishnoi. He is wanted in the firing that happened at Salman Khan's residence. And also, there is evidence that he was in touch with the shooters who carried out the killing of NCP leader Baba Siddiqui. Now, sources have learned that he has been detained in California by US authorities. There was a red corner notice and an extradition process was also initiated by the Mumbai crime branch to nab, to get the custody of Anmol Bishnoi. Details were shared with authorities in the Interpol and accordingly it was shared with the US authorities as well. Now he is being detained. But sources in the Mumbai crime branch tell us that it is going to be a long battle for the Indian authorities to get the custody of Anmol Bishnoi, as initially US authorities will investigate Anmol Bishnoi and then they might hand over Anmol Bishnoi to Canada for investigation related to Khalistani terrorist Rajdeep Sardesai murder, where Canada authorities have raised and they suspect that it was the Bishnoi gang which had carried out the hit on Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And after that, after Canadian authorities are done with their investigation, the number of Indian authorities might come, but that is going to be a long battle. That is going to take a long wait for Indian authorities to get Anmol Bishnoi. Anmol Bishnoi has cases in Mumbai, Delhi, Punjab, and various other places registered across India.
Okay, Devesh Singh with that important piece of news, because this could, of course, queer the pitch further, particularly if Canada pushes for extradition of Anmol Bishnoi in the Nijjar killings that took place in that country. Anmol Bishnoi, brother of Lawrence Bishnoi, reportedly detained now in California. Thanks very much, Devesh, for joining us with that breaking news. Let's turn to our top story tonight, and it comes from Manipur. It's a state that remains on the boil more than 18 months after the violence first flared up there. Today, the center decided to rush more troops because Manipur has been gripped by more violence just in the last 72 hours. The decision to send the forces comes days after 6 people, including 3 women and children who had been kidnapped, were found dead in Manipur. A meeting today took place with Home Minister Amit Shah chairing in. The authorities have now imposed curfew in the state capital of Imphal, with internet also being suspended. Why is Manipur burning after even 18 months? That's the big story and our top story tonight.
Manipur on the boil again. Curfew imposed in state capital Imphal after violence over the weekend that saw mobs target properties linked to ministers, MLAs and political parties. One person was killed in police firing on protesters in Jiribam district on Sunday night. The fresh round of arson and violence followed the recovery of bodies of a woman and a kid from a river in Assam's Kachar district. They were among the 6 Meiteis abducted on November 11. 3 bodies were recovered earlier. Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who cancelled his election campaign, chaired a high-level security meeting on Monday. The centre is rushing additional forces to Manipur to control the violence. In Imphal, the Coordinating Committee on Manipur Integrity, an apex body of Meitei outfits, forced the shutdown of central government offices in Imphal.
Conflict have almost completed the 2 years. The government of India had nothing to do for the welfare of the people of Manipur. They are supporting Kuki militants, and these Kuki militants are continuously attacking and kill many civilians. But the government of India has nothing to do for the Meitei community. Instead, they are trying to protect the Kuki militants.
The latest round of violence started on November 8 when a 31-year-old woman was allegedly raped and killed by members of the radical Meitei organization Arambai Tengoi in Jiribam. On November 11, security forces killed 10 alleged Kuki militants who attacked a paramilitary post. Kuki leaders claimed the victims were village defense volunteers and not terrorists. The police rejected the charges and added that 2 burnt bodies were recovered from a village targeted by the alleged Kuki militants. The same day, 6 women and children from Meitei community were allegedly abducted by Kuki militants from a relief camp in Jiribam district. The spiraling violence has triggered a political showdown. The National People's Party, which has 7 MLAs, has withdrawn its support to the BJP government headed by Biren Singh in the state.
The National People's Party, the leaders, the MLAs all have strongly felt that we have lost the confidence in the current government that is there, led by Shri Biren Singh. This is not anything to do with any personal agenda or any personal individual's issue, but it is about the people of Manipur.
The Congress urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit the state to work out a solution.
Manipur is becoming forgotten state of Modi's regime. By this Modi's regime, Honorable Prime Minister should say the present Chief Ministers of Manipur is no right to continue, as is also stated in 2017 too. So the present Chief Minister has no right to continue the administration there in the state.
Manipur has been on tenterhooks ever since violent clashes between Meitei and Kuki communities first broke out more than a year ago. Since then, the 2 communities have confined themselves to their own areas of influence. That is Kukis in the hills and Meiteis in the valley. And it takes just a spark to set the Manipur tinderbox on fire, as it became evident this weekend. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's raise the big questions there, questions that are simply not being raised effectively enough. 18 months now, has the situation reached the point of no return in Manipur? What will it take to stop the bloodletting? Is this now India's biggest security challenge, or the biggest security challenge certainly for the Narendra Modi government at the centre since they came to power 10 years ago? Is President's rule going to be the only option now in Manipur? These are the questions we'll raise. Spoke earlier to Pradeep Panjubam, senior journalist, former editor of Imphal Free Press. I'm joined live by Palonelal Haukip, Kuki BJP MLA, and by Bina Lakshmi Nepram, founder director, Manipur Women Gun Survivors Network and convener, Northeast India Women Initiative for Peace. But I want to come to Pradeep Panjubam, who I spoke to earlier, and I began asking the senior most journalist in Manipur, the recent spate of killings, particularly now of 6 innocents, 3 women, 3 children. Is this now again more evidence that Manipur is in no better shape than it was in May of 2023 when the violence began? We're seeing a continuous cycle of vendetta and retribution.
All I can say is that it's terrible that this should be continuing after so many months, almost 2 years now. And I think it's because there's no action being taken, nothing proactive, nothing to actually resolve the issue. People are just waiting for the violence to die down and believe that is peace, which is not the case at all. That you have this idea of the frozen conflict, which can escalate thaw anytime, and then it can flare up again. We've seen this in Palestine, Israel, for instance. There's peace for some time, and people think that's peace. Then there's one little spark, and then everything blows up again. I think that's the same pattern which is being repeated here.
I just heard you likening what's happening in Manipur to Palestine versus Israel. Are we saying the conflict between Meiteis and Kukis has reached the stage where the differences are simply irreconcilable in any way? It just requires the slightest incident for the tinderbox to explode?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just giving an example of a frozen conflict, that you just freeze, and then that frozen period is believed to be peace, which is not the case. What I'm saying is that when there is a frozen peace for some time, there should be a parallel movement to actually resolve the issue so that the freeze, when it thaws, there is no violence left. But what's happening is now the violence is still there as an undercurrent, although it's not showing up. So it's just waiting for a little spark to actually show up. So I'm just saying, give the example of Israel just to show that example. You can also give the example of South Korea and North Korea, where there's been no settlement at all. So technically, they're still at war, which is what is happening, which has happened in so many other instances in Manipur as well as the Northeast. For instance, the Naga-Kuki conflict that happened in the 1990s, it was never resolved. It just died on its own. So the undercurrents is still very much there. It can flare up again when the pressure mounts enough.
Bina Lakshmi Nepram, do you believe the situation has reached the point of no return? I saw a few angry tweets you put out on social media that enough is enough. We're seeing this cycle of violence. One day, innocent cookies get killed, then retribution take place. Meiteis are killed. Are you seeing this now reaching the point of no return? You're on mute. You're on mute, ma'am.
I would like to just first, literally, our hearts are broken with the spate of violence which has come about in Jiribam this past week, with so many innocent women brutally assaulted, murdered, killed, including 8-month-old infants. This is one of the most difficult times now in Manipur, which has affected all the communities living there. Innocents have been slaughtered at the cost of some power-hungry people or holding on for 18 months, that the innocents who are living in relief camps, the women and children living in houses are being repeatedly attacked, farmers being attacked. So this is one thing that must stop. Never in the 18-month-old history that we have innocent babies being murdered the way it is done. Enough is enough, and that must end. But to be very honest, Rajdeep, Manipur has been a multi-ethnic, multi-religious, and multicultural state for centuries. All the communities have been coexisting. I repeat, they have been coexisting peacefully for centuries, and we will continue to use those. I have called this conflict as being engineered by people who are hungry for power, who are in different kinds
of who are
drugs.
they? No, let's be clear. Let's start calling a spade a spade. Who are these people who you say are hungry for power, who want this conflict to continue? Let's be specific.
Absolutely. What the Gujarat riots down in 3 days after thousands were killed. The Muzaffar riots were brought down in 20 days, and the Northeast Delhi riots in 7 days. How come then that the Manipur conflict is made to simmer for 18 months shows that there is vested interest behind, and the vested interest behind are listening to this dialogue, Rajdeep. And I call upon all of them, whether they're in drug trafficking, where they're in political power. They're trying to engineer a geopolitical violence in that part of our world. They must stop this immediately. This is about 3.3 million people whose lives been under a siege for 18 months in the world's largest
No,
democracy.
are you saying there are
This
people
is wrong
outside?
and
Are
must
you saying
stop.
there are forces outside this country who are also engineering this violence, or are you primarily blaming
at
the
the map.
political
Yes,
leadership?
look at
The
the
fact
map,
is,
Rajdeep.
Mr. Biren Singh has been in power for 18 months. Is he to be blamed, or are you blaming some external factors? Are you blaming those who have gun running and drug runners? Who are you blaming?
Those who are in power know what is exactly happening. They have all the intel in the world. They have all the power in the world. Yet they're allowing this conflict to continue. Please stop this, because our innocent women, children, and infants cannot be made as a sacrifice of gods.
But I presume when you say innocent, they include Kukis and Metes. Am I clear on that?
All
Kukis have
communities
died,
suffered,
Metes have
yes.
died.
Absolutely. And not just that, Nagas have been affected, Manipuri Muslims have been affected. As I said, Manipur is a multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious state. Everybody talks. We are not a football match that people are pitting one community against the other. All the communities have coexisted for centuries. Last year, a violent conflict was engineered. And we, those who are thirsting for war, we, the women of Manipur, women of northeast of India, will tell you that our quest for peace is greater than your thirst for war. Please stop this. We can dialogue our differences, but do not go about killing each other's innocence.
Okay.
Enough is enough.
You're saying enough is enough. Let me bring in Mr. Haukim. Mr. Haukim, you're a BJP MLA. You're a Kuki. I'm told even as we speak, there's a meeting going on of BJP MLAs in Imphal, mainly Metes. I want to understand from you. You were very angry when you told me some months ago when Kukis were killed, now Metes are killed. What do you believe is the solution? Do you believe that all of you on moral ground should be stepping aside because you all have simply failed to provide peace and justice to the people of Manipur, irrespective of the fact is that you are in power, your government, the BJP is in power. Who's going to be held responsible? 18 months. Law and order completely broken down yet again. Innocents being killed.
Rajdeep, let me make two things very clear. The state under Chief Minister Biren Singh has been totally communalized and has been appropriated by radicalized elements, and therefore has lost all legitimacy. And the very fact that the central government still sticks on to such a person as chief minister is at the root of the never-ending conflict here in Manipur. And once the central government acknowledges the facts instead of trying to cover up the failures of the chief minister, his communalization of the state, then we can begin to explore.
No, so you're saying the blame lies at the door. You're saying, Mr. Haukim, the blame lies at the door of the chief minister. He's your chief minister. You're a BJP MLA. I want to understand, there has been much talk that some of the Mete MLAs may resign. We heard earlier, a few months ago, there was talk of the Kuki MLAs, yourself including, stepping aside, but no one is. As Beena Lakshmi Depram pointed out, all of you are clutching on to power. Who is going to bell the cat here now in Manipur? And is Chief Minister resigning the solution?
Rajdeep, I no longer place the blame on the Chief Minister because he is a communalized element now. And knowing fully well that he is communalized the state government, that the center still holds on to him is a worrying factor. It is beginning to show unbridled arrogance of majoritarianism, of cultural hegemony.
So why don't you all come to Delhi and ask whether then why don't you all step aside, resign? Why? The fact is you all are all part. You can't only blame the center or blame the chief minister. You're part of the government. Whether you're Kuki or Meiteis, all of you, you're blaming the Meiteis for radicalization. They will turn to and say, look at the kind of incident that just took place, Jigram. You've got 6 innocents who've been killed.
Rajdeep, for me, being a representative is not a position of power, it is a position of responsibility. And when the state fails to act justly and discriminates between its citizens as a representative of a community, as a representative of the people, I need to stand up and fight for justice.
So you're telling me that the chief minister is primarily responsible for the crisis in Manipur. You're saying he's resorting to cultural supremacy, to majoritarianism. Let me for a moment come back to my conversation with Pradeep Panjubam, which I had earlier. Pradeep, the government is planning to now pump in even more forces. That's the decision that was taken at a review meeting by Home Minister Amit Shah. Is that simply the solution? Pump in more forces? Is this a security challenge, or is it about healing this gaping divide that now exists between Meiteis and Kukis? Every time there's a killing, there's a new cycle of violence being sparked off.
I think it has to be both. That you can't just let this violence carry on. So you have to quell it, and then but don't be happy that it's quelled, because there is something else happening in the below the surface, and that's what's happening below the surface should also be dealt with, which is why that resolution is necessary. But in the meantime, I think the violence has to stop, which is why the state has to show its power. In some ways, no, if you do it correctly, then maybe it is right for the state to actually show that the law is still in the hands of the law. No? Right now, what's happening is anybody with a gun, anybody who is, or a group which has organized itself in any form and any sense of that coercive power is becoming a law. That's what's happening.
No, but Pradeep, who is behind these killings? Is it organized groups of militants? Is it individuals working, as you said, with guns in their hand as freelance killers almost? Or seeking to take revenge for any incident that takes place, establish their authority, supremacy in some way over the other community?
I think in a way it's total anarchy. That can be anything. That it can be an individual, but then the communal tension is so much that one small spark can actually put people in 2 different groups, and people are not going to wait for any analysis of why it happened, how it happened, all that. People, if one community is touched, the other community is just going to flare up, and that's exactly what happens in a communal kind of tension anywhere.
But the elephant in the room, Mr. Panjubam, seems to be that nothing is being done about the chief minister. You still have Biren Singh in place. His son-in-law's house, Emo Singh's, was torched the other day. It almost seems as if the government is still not willing to act against the chief minister, sack him, or impose president's rule. Will a sacking Biren Singh help?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to actually for the state to take control. If Biren Singh is not capable, then somebody else. If that somebody else is not capable, then some other institution, maybe the president's rule, anything. I think what is important here is for the state to take control, and for that you can use any means. If it is president's rule, okay. If it is a change of chief minister, okay. But you have to do something. You just can't leave it to die on its own.
The reason I'm asking you this, Pradeep, is as you heard, a lot of Kuki leaders are saying Biren Singh must go. That's a precondition to having any sort of normalcy. They associate him with all the violence that's taken place since last May. Would removing him, in your view, be a step towards normalcy, bridge the divide, or enable the center to establish some control?
Yeah. That actually becomes a problem when one group says do this, the other group will say, whether they like it or not, the opposite. So if they say remove such and such Biren Singh, the other group, whether they like it or not, they'll say no, because that conflict is there. So it should be a neutral kind of intervention, that you do it not because somebody else is saying it. Because when that thing is done, the other side is going to see it as a kick in their behind. So they will get back. So we can't just play it off that way. It cannot be because somebody is saying it, but it should be because this is
Yeah,
necessary if it is to be done.
Bina Lakshmi Nepram, should Biren Singh go in any other state if for 18 months you are unable to control the violence that has claimed more than 220 lives, you'd be sacked? Why is Biren Singh would Biren Singh sacking be one step at least to try and build this state again?
At the moment, the Prime Minister of this country has not even visited Manipur in 18 months, Rajdeep. There's a Bengali saying, the fish starts rotting from the head. This is not just about one person being sacked or not sacked, but it's a question of the complete failure of leadership from New Delhi up to the state level. And those who are responsible must definitely go. But having said that, let us not forget how Manipur's location is. It's a very geostrategic location. We are just bordering Burma, where there's an ongoing conflict going on. As long as the violence in Burma is there, we will continue to have these issues because it's a question of survival of many ethnic groups. What requires is the government of India to look into what is happening there and to try to resolve it by getting, first of all, the leaders of both the warring groups must come under peace talks and negotiation. Till today, Rajdeep, not a single peace talks have been initiated, which is now accessible to the public. Not a single woman is involved in those peace talks, has been number one. Number two, let's not forget that the issue of Manipur is not just about sacking one person, it's a national security issue. We have 60 armed insurgent groups, Rajdeep, I repeat, 60 armed insurgent groups operating in the state of Manipur today. The guns have to be silenced from all those because it is not the duty of village volunteers to defend and protect our villages. It's a duty of the state and the central forces to protect the lives of each and every citizen in Manipur, belonging to all ethnic groups. Why our young people have to die protecting their villages? This is wrong. What I've heard is not just the Manipur community, but even the security forces have been communalized. We cannot let that happen there, because if Manipur breaks, it will start the breaking up of different parts of northeast of India. It is a national security issue and must be handled at the highest level.
You're saying it has to be. You're saying it's not about Biren Singh anymore. It's about being handled at the highest level. Mr. Haukib, you were among those who said on this show today that sack the chief minister. Will that really help? Here is Bina Lakshmi suggesting, look, it's not about an individual. It's a national security challenge. Do you believe that that Prime Minister Modi should now take direct intervention? He should be the one who possibly should go to Manipur. Do you believe that would help? Do you have confidence in the Prime Minister at least? You're saying Biren Singh is majoritarian, communal. Prime Minister and the Home Minister, should they now take more direct intervention there? The Prime Minister has not even visited once.
Rajdeep, let me put it this way. The attempt by certain quarters to portray the problem in Manipur as a national security problem is entirely misplaced. It is a political problem. It needs to be addressed politically. It is not a security problem.
Now, there are 60 insurgent groups there which are armed. There are 60 armed insurgent groups which are now virtually moving around with impunity. Isn't that first you've got to solve the security problem, then the political problem? You're saying it's a political problem.
Rajdeep, insurgency arises because of political disaffection, because of political disillusionment. Once the political problems are addressed, insurgency will end on its own.
So you're saying the political problem stems from... Are you saying the political problem is only linked to one individual, Biren Singh? Are you putting the entire blame at his door now?
No, Rajdeep, what I'm saying is the center's approach to try and solve the problem in Manipur as a security problem is misplaced. It is a political problem, needs political dialogue and political settlement.
Okay. Pradeep Fanjubam, here we are. Should it be treated as a political problem? Should it be about restoring the authority of the state first? Would the Prime Minister visiting Manipur make any difference? He's not been there even once in the last 20 months. Do you think he should now go there? Would his presence make a difference according to you, or is it too late?
I think he should have done it long time ago to tell the people here that he is with the state, and then he's doing everything to actually bring things back to normal. And that kind of confidence was never given by to the warring side. So I think if he had come earlier, it would have been better. But still, if he comes now, I think at least some bit of that assuage feeling will be there. Right now, what's happening is that people think they are either side. In a conflict situation, you read the same thing, same situation, but read differently by the two sides. There's no neutral meeting ground. So I think that kind of voice is necessary at the moment.
Do you think it'll get worse though before it gets better, Pradeep? Given what we have been seeing, the kind of angry responses now where Mete groups are hitting the street, burning even the houses of the Chief Minister's son-in-law, will it get worse before it gets better?
I think ultimately it'll have to get better. I'm an optimist that you fall down and then you hit the ground. There's nowhere else to sink, so you have to bounce back.
Very quickly, Bina Lakshmi, are you also an optimist? Do you believe things will get better, or do you fear that it will get worse before it gets better? You heard Mr. Hawkins saying this is a political problem, not a security issue, he claims.
Rajdeep, first of all, when I was growing up in Imphal, I was taught my teachers were cookie, my best friends were cookies. There are cookies and Meiteis who have intermarried each other and continuing to survive through this crisis in the last 18 months. Number one, to Mr. Haukip, what is national security? When women are sexually assaulted, raped and burnt, when 18-month-old babies are taken from their mother's bosom and killed brutally, when 60-year-old grandmothers are brutally killed and their bodies float in the Barak River, is this not also national security? National security is not just protection of the MLAs and the ministers in their bungalows. National security is about ensuring that the children and women are relieved in those relief camps, also protected. Our villages are protected by armed marauders on both sides who have been attacking each other. This for us is national security. It is also very critical to importance to note that Manipur is definitely at a geopolitical stage where we cannot stop it at that. And finally, as I mentioned, that it is incumbent upon, we had at the time, the Northeast India Women Initiative for Peace, with Kuki mothers, Naga mothers, Meitei mothers, Manipuri Muslim mothers who work together to ensure that peace is in our parts of our world. We are blood brothers, we are blood sisters.
No, you're saying you're blood brothers, you're saying you're blood brothers, blood sisters, but we are having a bloody conflict. So therefore I ask you all, and I ask Mr. Haukip, will you reach out? You're an MLA. Why can't Kuki and Mete MLAs sit across a table and talk to each other? You're saying Prime Minister and others must come to Manipur. What are you all doing? Why can't you all talk across a table? You all are all from the BJP. Why can't you all sit across a table and resolve this?
Rajdeep, first of all, to Bina, national security is something that can challenge the integrity of a country. These killings in the conflict are a failure of the state to protect its citizens. It is not a national security issue. It is a law and order failure.
No, but please answer my question, sir. Answer my question. What stops, you all are all elected representatives, what stops Mete and Kuki MLAs from sitting across a table? If you can't sit across, how do you expect helpless civil society to sit across? You sit in fortified bungalows. They are the ones who are getting killed. Ordinary citizens are getting killed. They don't have your protection also.
Rajdeep, the political conflict is such that the center has to mediate, because the cookies have been cleansed totally from the Imphal Valley and there is total demographic segregation, separation. All we are asking is that let's be good neighbors with good fences.
Answer my question, sir. What stops you from sitting across a table? You all don't sit across a table and innocents are getting killed.
Yes.
Rajdeep,
then all of you should step down from the assembly and let there be president's rule.
I have no issue in sitting across the table with my colleagues and to request them to understand the compulsions post 3rd May that we should exist under two separate administrations as good neighbors with good fences.
Okay.
I have no qualms in talking to them. But the problem is the chief minister has so communalized the state, and anybody who talks sense in the Imphal Valley is brutalized, is vandalized. Their houses are vandalized.
He's your own chief minister. He's the chief minister of the BJP of which you are a part. You're telling me today he's communalized and
Unfortunately, Rajdeep, in Manipur, the BJP has been appropriated by a communal agenda and is now dancing to the tunes of radicalized militia like the Rambai Tiangol and the Meitei Lipun. It no longer reflects the national vision of great leaders like Vajpayee and Advani ji.
I'm going to leave it there. That's a sobering thought that you're putting us. Here is a BJP MLA coming on our show today and saying that the chief minister of Manipur has communalized the situation to the point of no return. I don't know who's listening to this out there, but if you are in government, the people of Manipur expect better from our politicians. They expect them to resolve this issue in the true spirit of this Indian constitution, where whether you're a Kuki or Mete, you're an Indian citizen first, who deserves every protection from our security forces. Manipur is on the boil, my friends. If this was any other part of the country, imagine what would happen. It's the tyranny of distance, as I call it. Manipur deserves better, much better. Let's leave it at that. Beena Lakshmi, Nepram, Pradeep Fanjumam, who I spoke to earlier, and Mr. Haukip, I appreciate you joining us. Let me turn from there to the high voltage campaign for Maharashtra that ended today, with Rahul Gandhi on the final day addressing a press conference in Mumbai and upping the ante against the BJP's Ek Hai To Safe Hai war cry. In response, the BJP hurled a Chota Popat jibe. Listen in to the final day face-off.
ये एक लाख करोड़ रुपए का धंधा चल रहा है। ये आप देखिए, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी और अदानी जी एक साथ खड़े हैं, एक हैं तो सेफ हैं। इसी व्यक्ति को देश के एयरपोर्ट्स दिए जा रहे हैं, इसी व्यक्ति को डिफेंस की पूरी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की इंडस्ट्री दी जा रही है, इसी व्यक्ति को पोर्ट्स दिए जा रहे हैं, इसी व्यक्ति को धारावी दिया जा रहा है, इसी को मुंबई का एयरपोर्ट दिया जा रहा है। और मैंने यहां पे आपको क्लियरली दिखाया है कि पुराना रिश्ता है प्रधानमंत्री का, तो ये अदानी जी अपने आप नहीं कर सकते हैं। विदाउट क्लियर सपोर्ट ऑफ द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया, धारावी कैनॉट बी टेकन अवे फ्रॉम द पीपल ऑफ इंडिया।
बहुत ही निचले स्तर का प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस था। एक तथाकथित राष्ट्रीय पार्टी के तथाकथित उम्दा नेता द्वारा इस प्रकार का प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस, और उसमें भी एक तिजोरी पकड़कर लाना और उसके इर्द गिर्द नाटक करना, यह राहुल गांधी और कांग्रेस पार्टी को शोभा नहीं देती है। वंशों से दादा, परदादा, दादी, पापा, मम्मी सबने मिलके जो सेंध मारने का काम किया है, तो स्वाभाविक रूप से जब आप सेफ बोलेंगे तो आपको तिजोरी ही दिखेगा।
We'll wait and see how this battle plays out in Maharashtra. Let's turn, though, to the national capital, whose air quality has now hit astronomically hazardous levels. Stage 4 pollution norms being imposed, including a ban on non-essential trucks and construction work. Netas are continuing to bicker. There's a blame game on, even as the residents are gasping for air. As you can see, Delhi's AQI is the worst across major cities in the world. It is absolutely at a level which is simply unacceptable, the kind of air which we are all breathing in the national capital at the moment. And who will be held accountable for what's happening in the national capital is the big question. My colleague Preeti Chaudhary spoke to Delhi's Chief Minister Atishi on the Delhi government's pollution action plan. Is there a plan? Listen in.
अगर आज देश में कहीं सबसे ज्यादा पराली जलाई जा रही है तो वो मध्य प्रदेश में जलाई जा रही है। 9600 केसेस ऑफ फार्म फायर्स, यानी रोज 700 जगह मध्य प्रदेश में पराली जलाई जा रही है। अब आप मुझे बताइए, ये एक नेशनल प्रॉब्लम है। इनफैक्ट मैं तो ये कहूंगी एक नेशनल इमरजेंसी है। जैसे कोविड के दौर में हम एक नेशनल मेडिकल इमरजेंसी फेस कर रहे थे, आज पूरा नॉर्थ इंडिया एक नेशनल मेडिकल इमरजेंसी फेस कर रहा है। मुझे केंद्र सरकार ये बता दे, एक कदम बता दे, एक कदम जो उन्होंने पिछले 5 साल में उठाया है पूरे नॉर्थ इंडिया में स्टबल बर्निंग, फार्म फायर्स, पराली को जलने के लिए कम करने के लिए, एक कदम बता दे।
आतिशी जी, आपने बात की कि पंजाब में जो पराली का बर्निंग है बहुत कम हो गई है, जो फार्म फायर्स है वहां पे बहुत कम हो गई है। लेटेस्ट जो स्टडी आज भी आई है, जो कोरियन सैटेलाइट्स के जरिए से आई है, साफ है कि पंजाब में जब नासा की सैटेलाइट पंजाब के ऊपर से जाती है उस वक्त पंजाब की फार्म फायर्स नहीं होती, और वो बाद में जो दोपहर और शाम को चलाते हैं। और ये डेटा नहीं, ये डेटा मैं बोल रही हूँ, ये डेटा बहुत और कंट्रीज की सैटेलाइट्स ने कैप्चर किया है। तो ऐसा नहीं है कि पंजाब में फार्म फायर्स नहीं हो रही।
मैंने नहीं कहा नहीं हो रही हैं, पर मैंने कहा फार्म फायर्स पंजाब में जितनी होती थी उनमें 80-85% का रिडक्शन है। वेराज अगर आप बाकी स्टेट्स में देखिए, आप हरियाणा में भी कुछ कम हुआ है, 10-15% कम हुआ है, कंसीड दैट। उत्तर प्रदेश में फार्म फायर्स बढ़ गई हैं। मध्य प्रदेश में आज देश की सबसे ज्यादा फार्म फायर्स हैं। अब आप मुझे बताइए, भोपाल का AQI बढ़ा हुआ है, इंदौर का AQI बढ़ा हुआ है, बीकानेर का AQI बढ़ा हुआ है, जयपुर का AQI बढ़ा हुआ है, पटना का AQI बढ़ा हुआ है, बुलंदशहर का AQI बढ़ा हुआ है। क्या वो सबके लिए आम आदमी पार्टी जिम्मेदार है?
पर आतिशी जी बात,
आई थिंक हमें इस बात को रिकॉग्नाइज करना पड़ेगा दैट दिस इज अ नेशनल इमरजेंसी।
सही बात।
एंड सिंस दिस इज अ नेशनल इमरजेंसी, जस्ट जब कोविड का पैंडेमिक आया था तो तब भी ना सिर्फ सब स्टेट साथ आए थे, केंद्र सरकार ने आगे आके लगातार कई कदम उठाए थे। अगर लॉकडाउन अनाउंस करना था, क्यों सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने अनाउंस किया? इसलिए अनाउंस किया बिकॉज इट वॉज अ नेशनल मेडिकल इमरजेंसी। टुडे जो फार्म फायर्स हैं, जो पराली जलना है, वो एक नेशनल मेडिकल इमरजेंसी क्रिएट कर रहा है। आप मुझे बता दीजिए, आज मैं आपके शो पे बैठी हुई हूं, दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री के तौर पे आपके सवालों का जवाब दे रही हूं। मैं आपको चैलेंज करती हूं, आप योगी आदित्यनाथ को बुला के दिखा दीजिए अपने चैनल पर और पूछिए उनसे पोल्यूशन पर सवाल। मैं आपको चैलेंज करती हूं, आप प्रधानमंत्री को बुला के दिखा दीजिए इस शो पे कि वो पोल्यूशन पे एक भी सवाल अगर आंसर कर दे, वो नहीं करेंगे। क्यों? क्योंकि केंद्र सरकार को फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता। क्यों उनके राज्यों में, भारतीय जनता पार्टी शासित राज्यों में पराली की घटनाएं बढ़ रही हैं? देखिए, पंजाब सरकार ने, आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार ने दिखाया है कि अगर आपकी इंटेंट है तो आपको पराली जलाने की घटनाओं में रिडक्शन क्लियरली दिख सकता है।
पर वही मैंने आपको काउंटर किया आतिशी जी, क्योंकि जो नासा की सैटेलाइट के बाद जो और कंट्रीज की सैटेलाइट डेटा पकड़ रही हैं, वो प्रूव करता है कि पंजाब में पराली उतनी ही जल रही है। बस वो लेटर जलाते हैं, थोड़ी पराली बाद में जलाते हैं जब सैटेलाइट पार कर जाती है।
फिर तो ये तो हर जगह अप्लाई करेगा ना। फिर ये तो हो सकता है कि मध्य प्रदेश में 9,500 दिख रहे हैं, हो सकता है वहां पे भी 27,000 हो। ये तो फिर उत्तर प्रदेश में भी अप्लाई करेगा कि वहां पे 1,500 दिख रहे हो, वहां पे 5,000 इंस्टेंसेस हो। ये हरियाणा पर भी अप्लाई करेगा कि जहां पे 2,500 दिख रहे हैं वो 7,500 हो। लेकिन आज जो केंद्र सरकार का डेटा पब्लिक डोमेन में है, हमारा डेटा नहीं है
जी,
ये दिल्ली सरकार का डेटा नहीं है, केंद्र सरकार के एग्रीकल्चरल इंस्टीट्यूट्स का डेटा ये दिखा रहा है कि पंजाब में पराली जलाने में कमी आई है, किसी और राज्य में नहीं आई है। इनफैक्ट मध्य प्रदेश में, उत्तर प्रदेश में, राजस्थान में, इन सब राज्यों में पराली जलाने की घटनाएं बढ़ी हैं। दूसरा मेरा कहना है, आप मान लीजिए कि पंजाब में घटनाएं कम नहीं हुई, मान लीजिए, वैसे हुई हैं और काफी कम हुई हैं, लेकिन आप मान भी लीजिए कि नहीं कम हुई, तो क्या कर रही है केंद्र सरकार? उनको चिंता नहीं है क्या? पंजाब में रहने वाले लोगों की, हरियाणा में रहने वाले लोगों की, दिल्ली में रहने वाले लोगों की, मध्य प्रदेश में रहने वाले लोगों की, यहां तक कि पटना में रहने वाले लोगों की क्या कर रहे हैं प्रधानमंत्री? आज तक उन्होंने कोई इमरजेंसी मीटिंग बुलाई क्या? उन्होंने कोई इमरजेंसी कदम उठाए क्या? 5 साल में उन्होंने किसी भी राज्य में, इनफैक्ट हम तो पंजाब के लिए भी कह कह के थक गए कि पंजाब के किसानों को कुछ पैसा पंजाब सरकार देगी, कुछ पैसा दिल्ली सरकार दे देगी, आप कुछ तो दे दो। लेकिन केंद्र सरकार ने इतने सालों में कोई एक भी कदम नहीं उठाया।
The usual blame game when it comes to pollution. We'll keep tracking that story right through this week. Let's turn to a special tonight because this is looking at the global landscape that's shifting rapidly, particularly after the recent Republican Trump victory in the United States elections, with continents balancing cautious optimism now on international affairs. A significant development that has emerged deserves our attention, especially for those actively investing. Cryptocurrency, spurred by post-election dynamics, has now reached an all-time high of 93,000, sparking renewed interest and excitement in the crypto community. The dive deeper into this historic milestone and its implications, I'm joined today by Edul Patel, co-founder and CEO, Mudrex. Appreciate your joining us there, Edul. Let's start with your perspective on what we've seen, this massive leap in numbers. What are the reasons for this significant surge in crypto numbers?
Thanks for having me here, Rajdeep. Well, if I could summarize in one statement, what's happened over the last year is regulatory clarity emerging crypto. We've seen Bitcoin go from 30,000 last year this time to 90-odd thousand now today. And that's about a 300% change in the course of the year. And most of it is driven by just two events. The first event was broad acceptance amongst institutional investors via the ETF approval that happened in December last year and January this year in the US. That drove a lot of institutional investors to crypto. And as we stand today, there are more institutional investors who invest in the Bitcoin ETF as compared to the gold ETF, if we specifically talk about the BlackRock ETFs. Mm-hmm. The second thing that's happened is basically the Republican nominee Donald Trump becoming the president of the United States, or becoming the president-elect of the United States. Donald Trump has been a very vocal supporter of crypto. In fact, he's attended numerous conferences where he has said that he's going to bring in regulatory changes. He's kind of sort of near cabinet or cabinet of influencers, if I may say, like Elon Musk, JD Vance and so on and so forth, have also been pro-crypto. In fact, even if you keep them aside broadly and look at the broader representatives in the Senate that have kind of come in, more than 60% are now crypto pro representatives. And all of the signals like the overturn window shifting towards crypto and more and more and more people being ready for broader regulatory acceptance of crypto. That's what's happened, Rajdeep. Right. That's the trend that we are seeing, and that's the trend we expect to continue.
How do you see this impacting the broader crypto landscape, especially for Indian investors?
Well, Rajdeep, typically what we always see in cycles like this is first old users start getting reactivated, and that's at least what we are seeing on Mudrex. We are a 7-year-old platform, and today we are seeing a lot of the older users who were there on the platform, they start coming in, start checking their portfolio, start investing again. That's where it begins. Then it goes from there to newer investors joining. And post that is when we actually see broader market activity, where more and more companies start building in crypto, more and more regulatory clarity starts coming in for crypto. And that's what we expect. The last 2 years have kind of sort of been this evolution towards more users coming in, more regulatory clarity coming in. And I think that's where the broader market will continue.
One final question for our audience who may be new to crypto. What would you say are the key things to consider right now before entering the market at this high?
Well, the first thing I will say, Rajdeep, is that not everyone should be investing in crypto. It's risky. You need to understand what the market is like, what the asset class is like, and understand both the risk and reward of crypto before you jump into it. And the second thing that I would like to say is that despite crypto being risky, the basics of investment in any asset class are the same, right? You need to start off small, you need to understand the market, you should ideally try and do an SIP and then do recurring investments. And preferably also do all of this on a compliant platform like Mudrex. We are FIU registered and among the top platforms in the country. So you should start and do it slowly and steadily as such.
Okay, let me leave it there, Edul. I appreciate you sharing your insights on what is going to be an exciting and rapidly evolving space. We hope to have many more conversations of this nature that will be insightful, hopefully for our viewers, shedding light on how global events are shaping the future of cryptocurrency. Thanks so much for joining me. I want to leave you though with our image, which is from back home, an image that really reflects something that has gone drastically wrong in the way we are governed. Because every year at this time of the year, toxic smog chokes the national capital and the air quality continues to plummet year and year again. Now the government has announced the suspension of physical classes for all students except those in classes 10 and 12. Meanwhile, while the air is also polluted, look at the toxic froth that's floating on the Yamuna surface as well. Water and air pollution. The least that you want is clean air and clean water in the 21st century for every Indian in every part of this country. If the national capital can't do it, what will happen to the rest of the country? Sad images, and an image that really needs our governments, both at the center and in the state levels, to wake up and, well, smell the smog. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubh Ratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.